Why is right now the best time to sell? Well, it's pretty simple, right? The fact is, right now, the spring rush has not happened. Now we're at the very beginning of that. But I mean, when are you going to make the most amount of money on the sale of your home? When there's 400 or just over 400 homes for sale, which historically is a lot for around here, or when there's 550, 600, 650 homes at the peak of the summer when everybody's vacationing. One of the biggest myths in Montana is that everything only sells during the summertime. Well, look, Montana, if people don't like snow, they're not going to live here. Our internet buyer traffic only goes up or down 10%, through the seasons. So there's not a huge seasonality. There is a huge seasonality of agents actually showing up for work because it seems like a lot of them disappear for 6 months out of the year. But for full-time real estate agents like myself and like ourselves on our team, there's never a bad time to sell. There's just more inventory sometimes of the year, which is typically in summer. We usually peak end of June, July. So for people who want to net more because there's just less competition, it's just a very simple concept. Right now is a really good time. Don't worry about the yard being perfect, though. It's very green out there right now. Don't worry about daffodils or tulips. And I oftentimes joke around about that because I hear that all of the time. And I'm like, isn't anybody going to pay an extra $100K for a tulip? But really, it's just a matter of what else is for sale. When there's more homes for sale, you have to sell it for less. You have to give more concessions. There's just more competition out there. You have to do more on the home inspections. So now is a really great time. So how do you prepare? Oftentimes I get a call and they're like, Jason, will you come over to the house and just tell us what we need to do? And they're talking about all this little knick-knacky stuff and everything else, which is great. Maybe from a little too much HGTV watching, but really it's just the big things, right? Like the carpets and the paint and this and that. However, there is a fine line between offering a credit for that or doing it right now. What if you did it and they didn't like the color of the carpet or they didn't like the color of the paint or anything? But usually just making sure it doesn't look rough, right? Cleaning up the yard, sprucing it up a little bit, spending a weekend doing that, some touch-up paint inside. Usually the flooring's better than what people think, but I can go over all of that with you. I don't want you to spend good money after bad. And if you're having time coming up with, income to potentially finish your house, we have a concierge program where we can forward or front you the money, no interest or anything like that. Just pay us back at closing to a point. I can't build you a new house, obviously. My kids would disown me, right? But it's just one of those things where we can, again, just help you maximize the amount that you net. For buyers, look, you're going to see a ton of inventory coming on the market here this summer. You're going to have more to choose from, I think, than you've had to choose from for the last 10, 15 years. So it's going to be an excellent time. Rates are hovering around that 6.25 to 6.5 mark right now. There's no hope of those going down anytime soon from what the economists say. So, that's something that you should also know. What we're seeing on the market right now is still a lot of pricing delusion. We had, 500 homes expire late winter into and over the first of this year in Ravalli and Missoula County and Mineral County and tons up in Flathead and Lake County as well. So we had a real drawdown in inventory. And look, when there's 500, 600 houses that expire, it's not because they were priced right. It's because people bought them in COVID and are trying to sell them for COVID pricing plus a profit, plus what they did to the house, plus the real estate commission, plus all that stuff. And no buyer in the world is going to come along and say, well, I'll pay $100,000 or $200,000 more for a house, forego my dreams so that the seller can have their dreams come true as far as pricing. So then the question becomes, why are there so many expireds, or why do agents overprice houses? Well, when 71% of the real estate agents that are out there close one or two or less per year, there's a certain level of mentally needing to take a listing. And when they need to take a listing because their transaction counts are so low, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. I mean, some people just do this part-time. Last year we served almost 160 families. We're very blessed. So this isn't a knock on anyone, but our code of ethics always says that we can't underprice or overprice a home. Okay? In other words, defraud the public or do something that's dishonest. And so when we're pricing houses, what we're looking at is we're looking at 3 to 6 sold comps. Nothing else matters. Like on an appraisal, you're just seeing sold comparables, right? You're not seeing things that are on Zillow Active or Zestimates or anything like that have no bearing on anything. They're not accurate. So because there could be a single wide trailer, nothing wrong with a single wide trailer, but there could be a single wide trailer listed for 10 million. It doesn't mean yours is worth 100 million because you have a 5,000 square foot stick built home. How you know if the house is priced accurately is you should have 3 to 5, in most cases, showings per week. If there's just lots of activity, there's no house in the world that has no activity that's if it's priced right, it's going to have activity in any price range because there's buyers in all price ranges out there, right? Now, if you have to parachute into the house, of course, you're not going to have a lot of people, going to look at it. But if you can drive there, right, mostly all year, if you can drive there, you should have showings. And so it's not attractive to them. And so what that means is they're seeing other things that are a better value. Now, everybody thinks their property is special. Let's be honest. That's why you bought it in the first place. There's a certain attachment to it. There's things you like about it, but that doesn't mean everybody likes all that stuff, obviously. There's some people who don't like me. I know that's hard to believe, right? So, but anyways, different strokes for different folks. And so how you know what you're putting down, they're picking up is by having showings. And then shortly thereafter, after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 showings, you should have an offer. That's how you know. So activity begets offers. The less homes that are on the market, the more activity, the more offers. If it's dead, it's just overpriced. And again, agent desperation is leading to them. They basically just hand the listing. It's not based on any data. They just say, what would you like to list your house at? That is not, in my opinion, ethical. What a seller wants is certainly important to them, but it has no bearing on what a house should be listed at because it should be based on data of recently sold homes in the same area, similar size, similar acreage, similar condition, similar outbuildings and qualities, and or adjusting for the same. It's really that's why, they have what they paid, what the real estate commission is, they want to make profit. And if they bought during COVID, maybe they paid a $50,000 or $100,000 over asking price. And so then therefore, they're just upside down. And so there's been a lot of, sales during COVID that were up here and sales now that are here. It doesn't always go up. When it goes up so quickly, it has to come down and settle. So we are currently in the beginning of a buyer's market. Once we get up into the 5s or maybe mid to high 4s, I would say 450 to maybe 475 is kind of a normal market. So we're still in that. But once we skyrocket, we had 580 on the market, Missoula County last year. And I think September, if we go up above that, it's going to be full-on buyer's market, right? So good for buyers, not good for sellers. So for sellers, try to get in ahead of that. And for buyers, wait for that because you're going to get more concessions. Yes, that's a salesperson saying to wait. It'll just be another month or two before that happens. So again, I can't stress enough, if you are planning on listing this spring, do not wait until there's a million other homes on the market, okay? Hope you have an incredible day. Jason Baker, Rise Realty, here to help. If you need anything, home evaluation, have me come look at a house. Yes, this is the sales pitch. Oh my gosh, imagine that, I'm a salesperson. I mean, if I was a salesperson and I didn't ask you to list or sell with me, obviously if you're not currently listed, would I be doing my job? Of course not. But either way, whether you call me or whether you don't, I hope you have the best day, best week, best year, best summer, best spring. How gorgeous. And we'll look forward to talking to you on the next video. Bye.